Greetings, I'm Critters, and this is the making of Nether Perils. The initial idea to Nether Perils started off as a short Halloween prank. Mr. Slime would have scared Slimish with the Wither Skull, which the little slime gives him payback by building a wither. By itself, this could have worked, but upon further thought, I decided to take the animation a bit further, having a more cohesive story and a stronger message, yet retaining the lightheartedness throughout to make it not feel so glum. The opening scene follows us through into Mr. Slime's abode, going through a montage of him brewing all of the potions he needs. This would have felt a bit boring if he had all the potion ingredients in his home ready to go, so I took to devising some other ways for him to acquire the ingredients. For instance, brewing the leaping potion involved the steps of getting carrots, finding and luring a rabbit, and from there, try to get a rabbit's foot. Similarly, having golden nuggets in storage would have been boring, so I figured it would be nice to show him paying a blacksmith for smelting the gold down into nuggets, before using those to make a golden carrot for the night vision potions. However, midway through his potion making, he runs out of blaze powder. With no easy means of sourcing blaze powder nearby, the nether becomes the only option. Choosing the nether generation for this was an interesting process. The intent was to find a nether fortress which generated near a large open area, although the results I was getting were rather underwhelming. So I turned to using the amplified nether mod for enhanced nether generation, resulting in a much larger nether terrain that felt vast and overwhelming, all achieved with the vanilla blocks. Eventually, I found a terrain spot I was satisfied with and ported it over into Blender. The two begin their expedition into the nether and quite quickly get separated, thanks to the residing inhabitants, which went according to plan for Slimish. Slimish's journey takes it to the underlevels of the fortress, stumbling upon the right place to create its secret project. The Soul Trail was a nice visual indicator to highlight to both the character and the audience about this area. The Wither Skull emitted a particle system of souls. The curve was used to guide the particles from where they spawned to the soul sand area. Whilst one slime is seeking wither skeletons, the other is searching for his companion and blazes. The blazes were a fun mob to animate. Outside of their fire overlay, blazes in Minecraft don't have much of an indicator for when they attack, so I went about creating some charge-up animation for this story. This included spinning their rods really quickly, and either elevating or compressing the blaze's form to show it's about to attack. Some instances involved me animating each rod individually, especially for some of the death animations. It was fun trying to capture the sense of the blaze being held together by the rods, which would collapse when they're slain. Blazes in-game take damage if they're hit with water, so despite it being in the nether, I figured it was a cool strategy for Mr. Slime to use his spare water bottles to stun them. I created a small steam effect to show the blaze being cooled. The steam was a particle system consisting of the campfire smoke textures. These gradually faded away over time based on the age of a particle and its total lifetime. With enough blaze rods recovered, it's time for the two of them to leave. But Slimish isn't leaving without showing off its finished project, although met with poor reception from Mr. Slime. Designing the Wither's summoning phase consisted of a few elements, but its most notable one was the streaks. Multiple prisms were added that matched the size of each part of the Wither. The design of the streaks is composed from a brick texture, with colour 1 being the streaks and colour 2 being black, which later became transparent. The texture's location was animated over time to move across the surface. This effect was later replicated onto the Wither Skull projectiles to achieve their look in the game. The potion overlays are the same materials I used for each of the 3 potion liquids, being modifications on my water material to have some glow and different colours. The potion overlay and the player's skin are then mixed together and controlled by a gradient mask. By linking the gradient mask to an empty object, the coordinates and scale of this empty object determined which shader took greater priority over the other. So, as this empty object gets bigger, the potion shader becomes more dominant, and eventually fades out. Scene 3 was also privy to 3 challenging effects, which I knew had to be done through rigid body simulations: the ceiling collapse, the obsidian wall shattering, and the stalagmite crashing through the bridge. First was giving each of the affected objects active rigid bodies, making them dynamically interact with the environment. But that on its own doesn't achieve much. Empty prisms were then used to serve as collision objects, so they collide and rebound as if they're hitting a surface. These active rigid bodies then had to be activated by an external rigid body, usually in the form of an invisible object that travels really fast, or for the case of the bridge collapse, a stalagmite. I then went about trying to fracture these rigid bodies through Blender's built-in self-fracture add-on. However, save for the obsidian wall, it was producing very mixed results. So I just stuck to using the whole blocks to make things easier. From there, it's all a matter of adjusting the simulation environment. As a final touch, I also added some particle effects to serve as bits of rubble from the impacts. Despite the rather arduous and timely process, the rigid bodies turned out well. The Nether has several animated textures in the game, which was something I wanted to bring into this animation, particularly for the Crimson Forest. The process is simply achieved with using an image sequence. By itself, this works, but the playback speed was way too fast for the frame rate I was animating at. Fortunately, I found this driver expression from Reddit user SummerScience that allows control over the playback speed of an image sequence, achieving more atmosphere in the environment. We then return to the overworld, where the 2 slimes encounter 2 of their friends, although the Wither draws closer to the portal. It was important for the Nether portal to show the other side to capture the urgency in closing the portal, otherwise it would have felt rather weird. This started with creating a 2D plane behind the portal and applying a holdout shader. This basically cuts out a hole in the 3D scene, allowing for other layers to be composited behind it. From this, I created a separate scene showing the Wither in the Nether, and laid this underneath during editing. The result actually worked, but I experienced lots of complications during the compositing stage, where other nodes made the cutout become black, affecting it from actually behaving properly. After much trouble of getting nowhere, I found a workaround to the problem, thanks to this video by All The Works, which involved turning the entire 3D scene into black and white to serve as a mask. White for the portal, and black was everything else. This was rendered out as a separate image sequence, and from there, I laid the overworld and nether scene files to the respective colours in the mask, which turned out perfectly. With the threat of the Wither gone, Mr. Slime is furious at Slimish for not only disobeying his request, but also for unleashing a Wither behind his back, which nearly killed them both and their friends. The delivery of this message here was something that really needed to have been improved better on my end, which is particularly attributed to having no dialogue. It's something that's been on my radar to work on, and hopefully will improve over time. With that, the group make their way back to Mr. Slime's abode, able to return to their normal lives again. Before the animation was completed, I turned to devising thumbnail ideas for the video. One of the designs I drew inspiration from one of the John Wick movie posters. Translating that was a very fun and creative process, resulting in a feeling that was quite claustrophobic and perilous, but also being slightly humorous as well, fitting the vibe of the animation nicely. Nether Perils was certainly a project I felt ambitious and cocky about when I started animating. Completing this within the year is certainly an improvement over my previous major animation, but I have much to learn when it comes to creating high quality story-driven animations with efficiency, energy, and creativity. Now comes the exciting prospect of what to work on next, which should be completed sooner than this. Anyways, until next time, thank you for watching.